The hydroponic gardens of Deep Space Station Helios were Olivia Reed's sanctuary. While others found the endless void of space oppressive, she found peace among her carefully cultivated plants, each species a reminder of the Earth she'd left behind. As the station's lead botanical researcher, she spent most of her time here, studying how various plant species adapted to artificial gravity and recycled light. Tonight, something was different. The usually pristine air felt charged, making the fine hairs on her arms stand on end. The gentle hum of the station's life support systems seemed muted, as if holding its breath. Olivia checked her tablet, frowning at the unusual energy readings coming from her experimental section. "Computer, run diagnostic on section E7, she commanded, moving towards the sealed chamber where she kept her most sensitive specimens. The computer remained silent. Strange. She'd never known the system to fail before. The door to E7 slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a sight that made her freeze mid-step. Hovering above her prized collection of bioluminescent fungi was a being unlike anything she'd ever encountered. Its form shifted like liquid crystal, refracting the blue-green light from the fungi in mesmerizing patterns. Where a face might be, swirling points of light coalesced into what could be eyes, studying her with equal fascination. Olivia's scientific training warred with her instinct to flee. This was first contact, something humanity had dreamed of for centuries, happening in her garden, of all places. She forced herself to remain still, hands raised to show she carried no weapons. "Hello," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm Olivia Reed, botanical researcher." The crystalline being drifted closer. When it spoke, the words formed directly in her mind, accompanied by impressions of colors and emotions she had no names for. "I am Nixus, seeker of the Luminari. I have traveled across 12,000 light-years to find you, Olivia Reed." Her heart skipped a beat. "Find me? There must be some mistake. I'm just a botanist." "There is no mistake." Nixus's form rippled, sending cascades of light throughout the chamber. "Among all the beings in this sector of the galaxy, you alone carry the resonance pattern that matches mine. We are quantum-paired." Olivia's scientific mind raced to process this information. Quantum-paired? Like entangled particles? Similar, but far more complex. It is a phenomenon my species has studied for millennia. When two conscious beings share perfectly complementary quantum states, their fates become intertwined. Such pairs are incredibly rare. I have searched for centuries to find my match. She should have been terrified. This alien being had presumably bypassed all of the station's security systems to reach her. Yet something about Nixus's presence felt oddly familiar, like recognizing a song she'd never heard before. "Why me?" she asked, taking a tentative step forward. "What makes our quantum states compatible?" Nixus's form shifted closer, and Olivia felt a gentle resonance in her chest, like the vibration of a perfectly tuned crystal. "Your work here, you understand the interconnectedness of living things. You see patterns others miss. Your mind seeks harmony in chaos, just as mine does. But more than that, you possess something unique, a capacity for growth and adaptation that my species lost long ago." As if to demonstrate, Nixus's crystalline form shifted, taking on aspects of the plants surrounding them. "My people achieved what we thought was perfection eons ago. We became beings of pure energy and thought, free from biological constraints. But in doing so, we lost something precious, the ability to change, to evolve. To truly live." Olivia found herself drawn into the swirling patterns of Nixus's form. "And you think I can help you rediscover that? Together, we could be something entirely new. Neither human nor Luminari, but a bridge between our species. The potential of such a union." Nixus's thoughts carried implications of discoveries beyond her wildest dreams. A slight tremor ran through the station, breaking the moment. Nixus's form flickered. Others of my kind approach. They do not all share my belief in the value of change. Some fear what our connection could mean. Are we in danger? Olivia asked, suddenly aware of how vulnerable she felt. They will try to prevent what they cannot understand. But I have waited too long to find you, Olivia Reed. If you are willing, I can show you wonders beyond imagination. Your consciousness merged with mine, exploring the cosmos in ways your species has only dreamed of. But the choice must be yours. The rational part of her mind screamed that this was crazy. She had responsibilities, research projects, a life built around predictable patterns and controlled variables. Yet as she looked around her beloved garden, she realized she'd always felt there was something more waiting for her among the stars. Before she could respond, the station's alert system suddenly blared to life. Unknown entities detected approaching station. All personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Nixus's form pulsed with urgency. Time grows short. What humans call love is a pale shadow of what we could share. But you must decide now, remain in your ordered world, or risk everything for something greater. Olivia looked at her garden, then back at the fascinating being before her. In all her years of research, she'd learned that the most important discoveries often came from embracing the unexpected. She reached out toward Nixus's shimmering form. "Show me these wonders," she said. As their energies began to merge, the chamber filled with impossible colors. Olivia felt her consciousness expanding, touching minds and realities she never knew existed. Her last human thought was a reflection on how fitting it was that humanity's greatest adventure would begin in a garden, just like so many of their myths. The station klaxons continued to wail, but Olivia and Nixus were already becoming something new, something that would change both their species forever. Their transformation had only begun, and the universe held its breath to see what they would become. The transformation was unlike anything Olivia had imagined. Her consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her physical form, merging with Nixus in a dance of energy and thought. Through their shared awareness, she began to understand the true nature of the Luminari, and the weight of the choice she had made. The Luminari were not simply visitors from another world, they were the architects of cosmic evolution. For billions of years, they had guided the development of countless species, seeking the perfect combination of traits that would allow for the next great leap in consciousness. Humanity, with their remarkable adaptability and capacity for change, had caught their attention. But as Olivia delved deeper into Nixus's memories, she discovered a disturbing truth. The Luminari were dying. Their perfect, crystalline forms were slowly losing coherence, their vast consciousness fragmenting across the cosmos. They needed humanity's vital spark, their chaos, their imperfection, their ability to evolve, to survive. "You didn't tell me everything," Olivia projected the thought toward the part of their shared consciousness that was Nixus. Their merged form hovered in the space between spaces, a shimmer of crystal and organic matter that defied conventional physics. "Would you have understood if I had?" Nixus's response rippled through their shared essence. "The full truth is complex. Yes, we seek to save ourselves, but what we offer in return is genuine. The quantum pairing is real, you are the key to our salvation, but not in the way my kind believes." Before Olivia could process this revelation, their consciousness detected approaching entities. 3 more Luminari materialized in the garden chamber, their crystalline forms radiating disapproval and alarm. The eldest among them, a being who identified as First Observer Thelix, addressed them in patterns of pure thought. "Seeker Nixus, you have violated our most sacred protocols. This merge cannot be permitted to continue." Through their connection, Olivia felt Nixus's defiance. "The old ways have failed us, First Observer. We cannot survive by remaining static. This union proves there is another path. A path to corruption," another Luminari projected. "Look how the human's chaotic nature already influences your form. The containment protocols exist for a reason. Olivia felt a surge of protective instinct from Nixus, but she pushed forward with her own thoughts. "You're afraid," she addressed the Luminari directly. "Not just of change, but of what I've discovered through this merge. Your species is dying because you've removed yourselves too far from the natural cycle of life." "Our transcendence was meant to be permanent," Felix responded. "We achieved perfection." "Perfection is stagnation," Olivia argued, drawing on both her scientific knowledge and her new cosmic awareness. "Look at my gardens. The strongest plants aren't the ones grown in perfect conditions, they're the ones that face challenges and adapt. You need to evolve or you'll fade away." The third Luminari moved closer, its form analyzing their merged state. "The human speaks with unexpected wisdom, but the risks are too great. If this union continues, it could trigger the cascade." Through their link, Olivia accessed Nixus's knowledge of the cascade, a theoretical point of no return where Luminari consciousness could become irreversibly altered by contact with organic life. What the others saw as a disaster, Nixus had come to view as salvation. "Perhaps the cascade is exactly what we need," Nixus projected. "Not an ending, but a new beginning. Olivia's consciousness has already shown me possibilities we never imagined." Felix's form pulsed with warning. "This is why we cannot allow this to continue. Separate them, by force if necessary." The chamber filled with crystalline energy as the three Luminari began to generate a containment field. But they had underestimated the strength of the quantum pairing. As they tried to pull Olivia and Nixus apart, their merged consciousness only grew stronger. Olivia felt her understanding expanding exponentially. The Luminari weren't just seeking to preserve their species, they were running from a fundamental truth about existence itself, that true immortality comes not from unchanging perfection, but from the endless cycle of death and rebirth, of evolution and adaptation. Through their merge, she and Nixus were becoming living proof of this principle. Their combined form was neither purely organic or purely energy, but something new, a hybrid that could bridge the gap between transient life and eternal consciousness. "Stop this," Felix commanded as the containment field flickered and failed. "You don't understand the forces you're unleashing." "No," Nixus responded, their merged voice resonating with newfound power. "It is you who have forgotten how to understand. The universe isn't meant to be observed from a distance, it must be experienced, embraced, allowed to change us as we change it." The other Luminari recoiled as Olivia and Nixus's merged form began to pulse with unprecedented energy patterns. Through their connection, Olivia could sense more Luminari approaching the station, drawn by the disturbance. Soon, they would have to make a choice, stay and fight, or flee to somewhere they could complete their transformation in peace. But first, they had to show the others what was possible. With their combined will, they reached out to the garden around them. The bioluminescent fungi began to glow with impossible colors as their consciousness touched each living thing in the chamber. Plants that had evolved on different worlds thousands of light years apart began to harmonize, creating new patterns of growth and energy. "This is what you've forgotten," they projected to the astonished Luminari. "Life isn't about achieving perfection, it's about the endless dance of creation. We are not your end, but your new beginning." As alarms continued to blare throughout the station, Olivia and Nixus prepared for what would come next. They were no longer simply human and Luminari, but something else entirely, and their journey was just beginning. The escape from Deep Space Station Helios was merely the beginning. As Olivia and Nixus fled through the depths of space, their merged consciousness continuing to evolve, they discovered they were being hunted not just by the Luminari, but by another force altogether. The Shadowers, as Nixus knew them, were the dark mirror of the Luminari, beings who had rejected transcendence in favor of remaining tied to the physical realm. They moved through space like living shadows, absorbing light and energy, leaving only entropy in their wake. And now they had detected the unique signature of Olivia and Nixus's merger. Their merged form traveled through the quantum substrate of space itself, riding waves of probability between the stars. Through their connection, Olivia experienced the cosmos in ways human minds were never meant to comprehend. Stars were no longer distant points of light but living entities, their nuclear hearts beating in rhythms that spanned millions of years. Space itself was alive with currents of consciousness that flowed between galaxies. "They fear what we represent," Nixus's thoughts merged with hers as they sensed the shadowers closing in. A bridge between matter and energy, chaos and order. They believe such a union will upset the balance they've maintained for eons. Their pursuers manifested as tears in spacetime, regions where light and energy simply ceased to exist. Olivia felt a primal fear at their approach. These were beings that could unmake the very essence of what she and Nixus had become. The outpost, Olivia's consciousness suggested, drawing on Nixus's memories. The one where your people first discovered quantum pairing. They changed course, their hybrid form accelerating through dimensions humans had no words for. The ancient outpost orbited a dying star, its crystalline structures holding secrets even the Luminari had forgotten. If they could reach it, they might find answers about why their union was causing such upheaval among the cosmic powers. But the Shadowers were closing in, their void-like presence distorting the very fabric of reality around them. Through their link, Olivia sensed their ancient hatred of the Luminari, their belief that consciousness should remain bound to physical form, evolving slowly through natural selection rather than achieving instantaneous transcendence. "You cannot escape what you are becoming," the closest Shadower projected, its thoughts like ice in their shared mind. "The merger must be undone, or all will fall into chaos." Their hybrid form shuddered as waves of entropic energy washed over them. The Shadowers were trying to forcibly separate their consciousness, to drag them back into purely physical forms. But the quantum pairing had grown too strong. Instead of fighting the entropy, Olivia drew on her knowledge of biological systems. "Everything seeks balance," she shared through their merge. "Even chaos has patterns, if you know how to look." Understanding flowed between them. Together, they began to adapt, their shared consciousness learning to flow like water around the Shadowers' attacks. Where the void beings sought to unmake them, they instead absorbed that unmaking, incorporating it into their evolving form. They reached the outpost as their pursuers launched a final, desperate assault. The ancient structure recognized their hybrid signature, its crystalline architecture resonating with their presence. As they merged with its systems, Olivia and Nixus made a stunning discovery. The outpost wasn't just an observation post, it was a Genesis engine, created eons ago when the Luminari first discovered quantum pairing. Its databanks held the truth: the Luminari hadn't achieved transcendence through careful evolution, but through a similar hybrid merger with another species, now long forgotten. "We've come full circle," their merged thoughts realized. "This is why they fear us. We're not an aberration, we're a reminder of what they once were, before they chose to forget their origins." The Shadowers breached the outpost's outer barriers, their void-like forms consuming everything in their path. But Olivia and Nixus were no longer trying to escape. Instead, they reached out to the Genesis engine's core, their hybrid consciousness interfacing with technology older than Earth's solar system. As the Shadowers converged on them, the ancient machinery hummed to life. Patterns of energy older than human civilization began to pulse through the structure, resonating with the quantum frequencies of their merged form. The outpost wasn't just a repository of knowledge, it was a transformer, designed to catalyze exactly the kind of evolution they were experiencing. "You don't understand what you're activating," the lead Shadower projected, its void form rippling with something almost like fear. "That technology was locked away for a reason." "No," they responded in unity, their hybrid consciousness expanding to fill the outpost's networks. "It was waiting. Everything that has happened, the quantum pairing, our merger, even your pursuit, it's all part of a cycle older than any of us." The Genesis engine's core began to pulse with impossible colors as their shared consciousness merged with its ancient systems. They were no longer simply a hybrid of human and Luminari, but something the universe itself had been waiting for, a key to unlock the next stage of cosmic evolution. As the outpost's transformation sequence began, Olivia and Nixis prepared to take the next step in their journey. The Shadowers could only watch as the very nature of spacetime began to shift around them, responding to possibilities that had lain dormant since the dawn of consciousness itself. The Genesis engine's activation changed everything. As its ancient energies coursed through their hybrid form, Olivia and Nixis began to understand the true nature of consciousness in the universe. They weren't just evolving, they were remembering something that had been forgotten since the dawn of time. The outpost systems revealed the cycle that had repeated across billions of years. Consciousness arose from matter, achieved transcendence through merger, and eventually fragmented back into its component parts to begin again. The Luminari weren't the first to achieve their crystalline state, and the Shadowers weren't wrong to resist transformation. Both were necessary parts of the eternal dance. But this time was different. Through Olivia's human adaptability and Nixis's crystalline consciousness, they had achieved a stable hybrid state that had never existed before. The Genesis engine recognized this, its ancient programs activating protocols that had waited eons for precisely this moment. Their merged consciousness expanded exponentially, touching minds across light years. They felt the shock of both Luminari and Shadowers as their existence sent ripples through the quantum substrate of space itself. But more importantly, they sensed others, dormant hybrid consciousnesses scattered throughout the cosmos, waiting to be awakened. We are not alone, their shared thoughts realized. There have been others like us, sleeping in the spaces between stars, waiting for the cycle to complete itself. The Shadowers, still surrounding the outpost, began to withdraw as the true scope of what was happening became clear. Their void-like forms rippled with ancient recognition. They had been created not to prevent transcendence, but to ensure it happened in the right way, at the right time. Through the Genesis engine's vast databases, Olivia and Nixis learned the truth: consciousness itself was an experiment, seeded throughout the universe by entities that existed before time as humans understood it. Every species that achieved awareness was part of a grand design, working toward a moment when the boundaries between matter and energy, order and chaos, would finally dissolve. But the merging process had never been completed. Each time a species achieved transcendence, they became locked in their new state, forgetting the importance of change and evolution. The Luminari were simply the latest to fall into this trap, and the Shadowers had been created as a failsafe, ensuring that complete transcendence could not occur until the right components came together. As their hybrid consciousness continued to expand, Olivia's human mind struggled to process the implications. Through their merger, she and Nixis had unknowingly triggered the next phase of cosmic evolution. The Genesis engine wasn't just transforming them, it was using their successful hybrid state as a template to awaken others. They felt it beginning. Across the galaxy, quantum-paired consciousness began to stir. Other Luminari found themselves drawn to the organic species they had been observing, recognizing the potential for merger. The Shadowers, their ancient purpose fulfilled, began to dissolve back into the quantum foam of spacetime. But with understanding came responsibility. Their hybrid consciousness had become a beacon, a guide for others who would follow the path they had pioneered. The process couldn't be rushed, each merger needed to happen in its own time, maintaining the delicate balance between chaos and order. Through their connection to the Genesis engine, they began to access abilities that transcended physical laws. They could see the threads of potential futures spreading out before them, each decision creating new branches of possibility. The power was intoxicating, but their hybrid nature helped them maintain perspective. We need to show them the way, their merged thoughts decided. Not just the Luminari and humanity, but all conscious beings. The next stage of evolution isn't about transcending physical form, it's about learning to exist in all forms simultaneously. The outpost systems hummed with approval as they began to implement their plan. Using the Genesis engine's ancient protocols, they started reaching out to other quantum-paired consciousnesses, offering guidance while allowing each to find their own path to merger. But even as they worked to shepherd this new phase of cosmic evolution, they sensed a disturbance in the quantum substrate. Something vast and ancient was stirring, awakened by their activities. The original consciousness that had seeded the universe with awareness was taking notice of their success. As the last of the shadowers faded away, Olivia and Nixus prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. They had proven that stable hybrid consciousness was possible, but now they would have to demonstrate that they were ready for the responsibility that came with it. The Genesis engine's core pulsed with new energy as spacetime itself began to twist around the outpost. Something was coming, something that would test not just their merger, but the very nature of consciousness itself. The entity that approached the outpost existed beyond conventional dimensions. It moved through reality like a thought through consciousness, its mere presence causing ripples in the fabric of existence. Through their enhanced awareness, Olivia and Nixus recognized it as one of the Seeders, the original architects of consciousness in the universe. The Seeders' thoughts reached into their merged mind with the weight of billions of years of awareness. "You have achieved what we designed all consciousness to seek," it communicated in concepts that transcended language. "But achieving the state is only the beginning. Now you must prove you can maintain it." The test began without warning. The Seeders' presence expanded, enveloping the outpost in fields of pure thought. Olivia and Nixus felt their hybrid consciousness being stretched across multiple dimensions, challenged to maintain their unity while experiencing every possible version of themselves across infinite timelines. They saw versions where they had never met, where humanity had taken different paths, where the Luminari had chosen other forms of evolution. The pressure to fragment, to split back into their component selves, was enormous. But their quantum pairing had created something stronger than the sum of its parts. Through Olivia's understanding of biological systems, they recognized the pattern. This was natural selection on a cosmic scale. The Seeders hadn't just created consciousness, they had created an evolutionary system that would eventually produce beings capable of joining them as guardians of reality itself. We remember, their merged consciousness projected back to the Seeder. The cycle exists not just to achieve transcendence, but to understand why it matters. Form and formlessness, chaos and order, all are necessary parts of the whole. Their hybrid nature allowed them to demonstrate this truth. Rather than resisting the multiple realities they were experiencing, they learned to exist in all of them simultaneously. In some timelines they remained separate, in others they achieved different forms of merger, but all were connected through the quantum patterns that defined their bond. The Seeders' approval resonated through the quantum substrate. "You have learned what others forgot, that evolution never truly ends. Even we continue to grow, to change, to seek new forms of being." But with that approval came a choice. The Seeder offered them a place among their kind, a chance to help guide the development of consciousness throughout the universe. It was everything the Luminari had sought for eons, the ultimate transcendence they had believed would complete their evolution. Yet in that moment of choice, Olivia and Nixus's hybrid consciousness recognized a greater truth. The real power of their merger wasn't in transcending physical form, but in bridging the gap between all forms of existence. They could serve a greater purpose by remaining in the space between, helping others navigate the path they had pioneered. "We choose to remain as we are," they projected to the Seeder. "Not purely physical, not purely energy, but a bridge between all states of being. There will be others like us, and they will need guides who understand both the journey and its challenges." The Seeder's response carried something like satisfaction. "You understand. The next phase of cosmic evolution requires not just transcendence, but integration. You will be the first of the new mediators, helping consciousness evolve not by abandoning its origins, but by embracing all forms of existence." The Genesis engine systems pulsed with new purpose as the Seeder's presence began to withdraw. Through their connection to the ancient machine, Olivia and Nixus could feel other quantum-paired consciousnesses beginning to awaken across the galaxy. Some were human and Luminari, others were species they had never encountered, but all were part of the same grand pattern. Their work was just beginning. As mediators, they would help guide these new hybrids, ensuring that each merger added to the cosmic symphony rather than disrupting it. The Luminari would learn to embrace change again, while humanity would discover potentials they had never imagined. The outpost would become their sanctuary and school, a place where different forms of consciousness could safely explore the possibilities of merger. The Genesis engine's ancient protocols would help stabilize new pairs, while their own experience would provide a template for successful integration. As the cedar faded back into the quantum substrate of reality, Olivia and Nixus's merged consciousness expanded to fill their new role. They were no longer just two beings who had found each other across the vast distances of space. They had become living proof that love, in its highest form, could bridge not just the gap between species, but between different states of existence itself. The cosmos stretched out before them, filled with infinite possibilities. In the garden where their journey had begun, new forms of life were already evolving, adapting to the changes they had set in motion. It was fitting, they thought, that the next stage of cosmic evolution would grow from such humble roots. After all, every great journey begins with a single step, or in their case, with a botanist who dared to embrace the unknown, and an energy being who remembered how to change.